When we were growing up, we were all told different versions of the same things. We're told to be the bigger person, have thick skin, look the other way. When we're bullied, we get told to ignore the bully. Because if you ignore the bully, were you ever really bullied at all? Not me. I was the perfect golden child who exemplified everything society wanted me to be. I could never be bullied. For instance, one day when I was so little, I was playing in the playground, and there was this girl. She was tall, egotistical, popular, everything I wasn't. And she was sitting on a playground structure 7 feet above the ground. I decided to climb up the side ladder, and she decided I shouldn't. She looked me dead in the eye and told me, "No boys allowed." And I laughed in her face. Because how could she be so conceited as to not see I was a girl? All of a sudden, she told her posse of friends to take me away. 6 small hands picked me up and threw me over the side, head first, tumbling to the gravel below, smiling all the way down. You see, it didn't bother me that she decided I couldn't be there, because I thought I was better than her. Afterwards, I was told that I couldn't go to the nurse because obviously playtime was almost over. You know, growing up, I've always had a shaky relationship with certain teachers. In 2nd grade, I got kicked out of the gifted and talented program because I wouldn't sit still on a carpet. In 3rd grade, I got hit over the back of the head with a water bottle because I was talking in class. In 4th grade, I got told I needed medication for the 4th time in my life. I was helping my teacher pack up with some friends, and she pulled me and my best friend over and told us that I should be medicated and tested for ADHD. She told me, a 4th grader, that I needed to be medicated for a condition she wasn't even sure I had. After each rendition of being verbally bullied or being insulted by a teacher, I decided not to take further action because nothing really happened. As I got older, I began to resent some of my classmates. They hadn't learned to suck it up like I had. When they cried, I thought they were weak. When they showed normal, human emotions, I thought they were overreacting. I thought I was better, nay, stronger than them, because I knew how to suck it up. I knew how to let things bounce off me. I had learned thought suppression. When I was 15, I began researching thought suppression for a project in a class called AP Seminar. For this project, we were instructed to find stimulus from a packet, and I became inspired by a quote from Emperor Marcus Aurelius, Book 4. In this quote, he states, "Ignore the thought, and the cry, 'I am hurt,' will not come. Ignore 'I am hurt,' and you ignore the injury." This took me back to my time as a kid, laughing at bullies, ignoring teachers, just being tough and toughing it out, you know. It took me back to a time when I thought I was happy. Still under the facade of thought suppression, I decided to research what potential benefits it held. And as I researched, benefits became consequences, and consequences became dire. You see, thought suppression is nothing more than a gateway into emotionally dysregulated depression. Let me explain. We're going to try a little experiment. It's going to mirror something called the white bear experiment. In 1986, Harvard University conducted the white bear experiment, and we're going to replicate it here today. I want everyone to close their eyes and try not to think of a white bear. If you do, I would like for you to raise your right hand. Now, keeping your hand where it is, I would like everyone to look around the audience. As you can see, a lot of people raised their hands. Now, why is it that even though you were specifically instructed not to think of a white bear, even though you were designed to be suppressing any thought of a white bear, you thought of it anyway? You thought of it instantly. Well, that's because when participants in the study were instructed to suppress any thought of a white bear, they actually expressed that thought more than if they were told that they could express it in the first place. And if we see this in thought suppression, when people actively try to suppress negative emotions or negative thoughts, they come back stronger and at a quicker pace. Or people have a period of thought suppression, and then when exposed to external stimuli, have a quick influx of thoughts pertaining to those negative emotions. You see, thought suppression is linked to depression. It's linked to this paradoxical relationship between suppression and rumination. According to an article titled Emotional Regulation, a Potential Mediator Between Heart and Mind, thought suppression is involved in the pathogenesis of some negative conditions: depression, OCD, and PTSD. Now, in case you didn't know, those are all pretty bad. So if we take this back to my time on the playground, my time trying to ignore what people were saying about me, my time trying to ignore what teachers were telling me, well, it wasn't too good. When I was younger, I used to walk for circles around my house for hours at a time, obsessing and thinking of everything that was going wrong in my life. I used to think of all the bad things, everything that I'd been ignoring up to that point. I would let it all rush in. And for hours at a time, I would just sit and I would walk and I would just think about everything. And then when I went in public, I would paint on a smile, engage in conversations, and be my lively, chipper self again. One day, I decided it just wasn't worth it. I let the fake smile I painted off chip away. I stopped all the trying, all the pushing, all the forcing, and I just let it all fall. I started to sink into myself. You see, depression for me was always like mud. And the longer that you're in it, the quicker it starts to harden and trap you. The harder it is to pull yourself out, the more it tugs you back down. I was lucky enough to be one of the few who could get out before it was too late. I often try to think about what exactly it was that brought me to get myself out. Was it joy, humanity, humility, humor? I couldn't say for sure. I'd like to think that it was all these things put together that inspired me enough to get out. I was lucky, but some others won't be, which is why it's important that we teach our kids young that they can express these thoughts. It's important that we increase our education about properly and openly expressing emotions. And if anything that I'm saying resonates with you here today, it's important that you know to get help. Some common widespread efforts include CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR, eye movement desensitization therapy, or DBT. You don't need permission to feel strong, so you don't need permission to feel weak. Go get help. No one's stopping you.